Boris Johnson's government won an overwhelming majority in the election, and it was quite a surprise. They'll be able to push through a lot of their plans for Brexit and other domestic policies and international policies. And the period of rapid-fire uncertainty and lots of elections does appear to be over for at least the time being.
I want to thank the people of this country for turning out to vote in a December election.
This is the strongest Conservative government since the days of Margaret Thatcher, and it's a little hard to see how Labour comes back from this in the near future. It also means that Brexit will happen, pretty much dashes completely the hopes of a second referendum that could have reversed Brexit. The UK will not have another election until 2024, so Boris Johnson has a lot of time to try and leave his mark on the country. Jeremy Corbyn's Labour opposition party lost a lot of seats. Corbyn has now said that he will be stepping down. One of the big surprises here was how poorly Corbyn's opposition did.
I called for last night a period of reflection in the party, and obviously the ruling body of the party, our national executive, will decide what process we follow then for the election of a successor to me. But I am quite prepared, and I was elected to do so, to lead the party until that takes place.
No one really thought Labour was going to win a majority, but they thought they might be able to stop the Conservatives from getting majority. There's going to be a big sort of post-mortem of exactly why this happened. Right now there appears to be two big factors. One was just simply Corbyn was not a popular leader. His negative approval ratings were really high. And then the sort of bigger structural problem was that under him, the Labour Party was never really able to work out a way to deal with Brexit. It eventually said that it would agree to a second referendum, but only after years of debate. And on the other hand, Boris Johnson's Conservative government, they were able to sort of simply say, we are the party that will get Brexit done. It looks almost certain now that Boris Johnson will be able to pass his withdrawal agreement, which will mean that Britain will leave the EU at the end of January, but there'll be a transition period. Boris wants that transition period to only last until the end of December 2020. The idea is in that transition period, Britain will work out a trade deal with the EU. The withdrawal agreement is really only about how Britain leaves the EU, not what comes afterwards. The big hurdle going forward will be negotiating a new trade deal with the EU. The good thing for Boris is that he's going to have a lot of flexibility there, but he has given himself quite a hard deadline of the end of 2020 to work out a new deal. In theory, if he doesn't work out a deal, then it would be basically a no-deal Brexit. There would be crashing out with World Trade Organization rules on the borders. I don't see any indication that he would do that, but it is negotiations over trade that are difficult. So counterintuitively, I think there's probably quite a few people in the EU who are relatively happy with this result. Not because they agree with Boris Johnson or they want Britain out of the EU. Britain leaving the EU does weaken the EU. But this was probably the only result that provided a clear path forward. And at least now people can start planning for an EU without Britain in it. And something that's hung over Europe, all its sort of trading relations for the last 3.5 years, now there's at least a light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.